I've been on here before talking about my love of the Indy 500 and everything that has to do with Speedway, Indiana. And we've reviewed that, if you're a Speedway high school graduate, you were a spark plug. Go spark plugs. After acquiring the corporate car of Indianapolis, and we've talked about that in another video, it's Danny Sullivan's car that we drove, or he drove, in the 1994 Brickyard 400. It is the only surviving car that never raced another race from the inaugural Brickyard 400. And it is the world's most expensive Chevy Lumina for absolutely no reason at all. But needless to say, my goal since I got the car back to Indianapolis is to take a lap or return it back to the Motor Speedway. And the people at the museum could not be nicer, and they are probably sick of hearing my voice whenever I call. But they are just absolutely terrific and gracious. If you go up in the photo archives, and anybody can do that if you visit the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you can go up to the second floor to the photo archives, find your favorite race car driver, anything. But I can find my car in the archives, and it is super cool. And whenever people visit the shop, they're like, oh my God, that's Danny Sullivan's car from the first Brickyard 400. And it is a true Winston Cup car. And it's just awesome. So we've reviewed all that, but now it's time to return the car to the Motor Speedway. But not only that, you have to take a lap. Somebody, somehow, has to get the 99 back on the track again. They used to have a thing at the Motor Speedway called 500 Festival Community Day. And anybody that shows up for the Wednesday before the race, it's 500 Festival Community Day. You got kids in the pits on tricycles, and it's a community day. Like anything, insert anything you can do from water pits to bobbing for apples. I don't know. You name it, they're doing it there. But if you came in off of 30th Street, you would be between turns 3 and 4, and for $5, you could take a lap of the Motor Speedway in whatever car you showed up in. And there would be Mini Cooper groups that would do it, and there'd be like Corvette groups that would do it. And they go there and they get their picture at the Yard of Bricks, and everybody's having a big time. But for some reason, they discontinued that event, and they moved it to another day. It's like the Saturday before the race or something, but you can no longer take the lap of the Motor Speedway. And it was a big ordeal, and you had to sign waivers and all this amazing stuff. I mean, granted, you're not doing more than 30 or 40 miles an hour, but, who knows, somebody can get out there and go full cannonball and go around the track at breakneck. And so that went by the wayside. I hope they bring it back, would be super rad. But I was trying to figure out how to get my car on the track. And if you go down through the list of things for 500 Festival, that's prior to their actual race, they have the parade, which is the second largest parade to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. You have all these different events, which is the mini marathon. They have a 13 and a half mile marathon or something, or a 13-mile marathon. And you just run, and you run from the circle, and you get to run around the track and come back. And I'm in no shape to be doing that. But the community rallies around the Speedway rallies around the community. It's awesome. But I found out that they have this one event called Breakfast at the Brickyard. And they didn't do it for a couple of years because of COVID. And I was like, man, I want to go to this thing, because they honor all the mayors from all the little towns. And they come up and give a little speech and say, I'm Travis Bell, the mayor of Edville, and we're famous for, cheese popcorn or something. And everybody claps. Yeah, Travis is the mayor of Edville. And it's a lot of fun. But I was like, if I read this right, they're going to feed me at Breakfast at the Brickyard. But for the first hour, whatever car you show up in, you're allowed to take a lap of the Motor Speedway. And that was my green light to get the 99 back on the track one more time. Then it was like the A-Team. We put this whole plan into motion, and I called Matt Begley, which was Rob Pitts' former cameraman, but he used to work on Winston Cup cars. And my car runs and drives and moves, but I haven't driven it more than 2 miles since we've had it. So I don't know what it's going to do. And then we're thinking about how we're going to shoot this thing, because we don't want any cameras hanging off the car and it will ruin the shot. We just want, this footage. But if you ever shoot anything, the greatest vehicle to rent is a Dodge Caravan, because the doors open wide and you can literally hang out the side and shoot, as it's going down the road. So now I have a pass for 2 cars, because I have purchased 2 meals for Breakfast at the Brickyard. And I have an approval from the Speedway Police Department to park my truck and trailer at Speedway High School, which is about 4 blocks away from the corner I've got to turn into and get into the racetrack. And everything's in motion. The night before, Matt's outfitting the whole car with cameras, and we had gone to the only place in Indianapolis, like an Enterprise in the north side of Indy, that had a Dodge Caravan. So we had everybody staged and everything ready to go. And we had tickets to breakfast at the Brickyard, and you get a free qualification ticket, you get a fed, you get a garage pass, and a lap around the track. What a deal, right? My wife, and I've outkicked my coverage, we've said this before, can deliver terrible news with a smile. And we're out in the shop, and we have Matt that has flown all the way in. We've got the Dodge Caravan for the weekend. We've got the truck, the trailer, the Winston Cup car runs and drives and moves. And she runs out and said, "Did you hear?" And normally, that's not the best news. And she messaged me it, and I was busy working on the car, that they had canceled the lap of the Motor Speedway because they moved qualifications up an hour because it was going to rain. And I was just completely devastated because we had all this planned. I'm going to return the car to the track, and we're going to do this. And cue sad trombone. So it's still going to happen. We just don't know how. But we went ahead and went to breakfast at the Brickyard anyhow. Matt Begley had never been there before. It's an awesome event. And for some reason, if you're at the Winston Cup or the NASCAR banquet, you have the head table and the winner's table. We were at table 59, and it was the winner's table. The head table had great seats, a great lunch. We happened to walk out a little early at the same time that Roger Penske walked out of the breakfast at the Brickyard, because he also wanted to see the first car qualify. And old Bob Penske got his picture taken with Matt Begley, and Matt was on a high cloud, and I taught him everything that I knew about the Motor Speedway that day and swore that if we ever had a chance to do it again, that he'd be back. So next year, it's $75 a head, or you can buy a whole table. So next year, there will be a whole table of VINwiki alum with me at breakfast at the Brickyard just to watch us return the 99 Winston Cup car, the corporate car of Indianapolis, the world's most expensive Chevy Lumina, back to the Motor Speedway.
The Simple Lease from Premier Financial Services is the most powerful tool in the world of exotic car financing. You get all the benefits of a lease, like the tax preference as well as the low payments, plus the benefits of a traditional loan. You can build up equity, pay it off at any time, and along the way you'll know exactly where you stand with their easy-to-understand amortization table. Premier's amazing nationwide team is standing by and ready to help you own your dream car in a way that's easier and more affordable than you could ever imagine. Whether it's a vintage Porsche, a modern McLaren, or a multi-million-dollar car collection, Premier is here to help. They've been supporting VINwiki for the last 6 years, and we certainly love them for that, but even more so, we love them because they make it easier and more affordable than you could imagine to own your dream car.